Oh yeah. Ba-da-da-ba, ba-da-da-da-ba-da, ba-da, dun, 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 dun. Hey, how's it going? Do I sound good, by the way? What's good, Marco? Do I sound good? Any chance? Hey, what's up, Aster? Does my mic sound okay this time? Just trying to make sure, because I don't want to have the same issue as last time. Yo, how's it? What's good, guys? What's good? What is Gucci? How's everybody doing today? We're working on the script. I'm live. There we go. I sound good? Thank you. Perfect timing, haha. I have to keep this on and go back to work. Oh, lovely. Nice. Nice. Well, I'm happy I could help make your work experience for the day a little bit better, you know? It's all about helping people getting through their day little by little. I'm leave. There we go. Okay, so I'm just checking to see. I'm putting it up on Instagram. How's everybody doing? Where's Lebby? She is at work. She does not live with me. We are two individuals. I just rewatched the Pain arc and was wondering which Hokage you think could have stopped Pain in their primes. Hashirama, Tobirama. Probably Tobirama. Do you guys think Tobirama could beat Pain? Probably not, right? What does Tobirama have against Pain? He has a worse flying Raijin than Minato. Water style jutsu that doesn't work. I think that Tobirama can unironically push Pain at the very least. I'm good, One Smart. How you doing, man? I think Tobirama could definitely push Pain to at least like the final path. I don't think that there's any way you can argue Tobirama doesn't get to like the final. At least, you know, given context, right? Like, do they have? Let me ask you a question. La-di-da. Do they have knowledge on the Pains or no knowledge? Tobirama can probably figure out the Pain paths. Hashirama probably only really struggles with the Preta path, all things considered, but I think he honestly shouldn't have a single issue. Tandem paper bombs work, but you have to use it with a, same as Naruto had? Okay. Yeah, no, his water style jutsu is fantastic. Like, that's not the issue. The issue is more so just the Preta path absorbing a lot of his ninjutsu, but if he has knowledge on what their paths are, same as Naruto, then he should be able to at least take down the Preta path. We'll probably have to figure out about the Naraka path. I think he might struggle at the very least with the Deva path. Later, Germany's playing in the World Cup right now. See you soon. Have a good one. Best of luck to Germany. I saw that. I think it was Brazil and Japan played today as well. My family, I have more family over now. They are visiting. They're mostly, I don't know where the fuck they're. I don't really know what the fuck they're visiting at this time. You think that they go to like one of the places where like the World Cup's actually happening, but yeah, low key close to a blitz tier above Pain since he reacted to Jubito, who grabbed KCM Naruto and EMS Sasuke before they could react. Rinnegan abilities could catch him off guard though. Well, we gave him the option, Cameron. Hey, what's good, Cameron? By the way, how you doing? What's good, one man? What's good, known test? That's the thing though. Actually, let me just pull that up real quick. Don't need this. So I'm working through East Blue. By the way, just to give you guys a bit of context, I'm working through East Blue right now. I'm going through like the East Blue end of the argument for Luffy. I'm about 26 pages into the script. I'm gonna write a bit more as the day goes on, but I did want to come in here just chat with you guys for a little bit. Hey, what's up, Sneeko? A blitz tier above Obito, right? Okay. So he did get blitzed, so one of the clones did get blitzed. The tandem paper bombs only really work if he has Edo Tensei, but we don't know which Edo Tensei he has, nor do we know if he has any prep time for his Edo Tensei. You said that he grabs them, right? When does he grab Naruto and Sasuke? Let's see. So Obito smashes right through, that's right. Breaks right through those guys. Attacks. Blast. Yeah. He grabs them, blasts them right through his face. Blast right through the Susanoo. Blast through that. So he puts himself back together. Okay, so he did put a ball right there on Minato. He does take it, but Minato's also dazed. And he does use the flying Raijin marker. I marked them that last time we were in contact. I don't know if that's necessarily a blitz tier above Obito. That's the thing, though. I don't know if that's, like, exactly a blitz tier. Because, like, I know that people try to say that, like, he should have reaction time in the same time as Obito, but, like, do you really have to have the same exact reaction time if your body got ripped in half? Like, all he really needed to do was just make contact once while he got blown up, right? I don't know if that necessarily puts him... It's way later? Yeah. I don't know if that necessarily puts him, like, verbatim on, like, the same blitz tier as, like, Ten Tails Obito, but if you think that, like, he's at least capable of tagging someone with Flying Raijin, then that is a massive boon for Pain, because that means at any point that any of the paths, like, get close to him, he can essentially blast them away. I will say this, he should be able to catch them off... I know that he's not as good with Flying Raijin as, like, Minato. A lot of, like, these feats with Flying Raijin also do come from a reciprocal round robin like they did with Minato, where they essentially let themselves tag each other first. Then they left their markers on each other, right? If I'm right. He uses that. Yep. Yeah. He uses that. Then they use the reciprocal round robin to basically swap with Flying Raijin, so they take the full on blast. Yeah. Pretty interesting stuff. I do think that Obito is faster than Tobirama, but at least Tobirama is fast enough to land a Flying Raijin mark, whereas Naruto and Sasuke couldn't do shit. I said close to a blitz tier above Pain. No, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Like, honestly, I see where you're coming from. That could definitely be a case. What about Hiruzen, right? Hiruzen is mostly a ninjutsu specialist. Assuming that he's alive and only has the adamantine staff, I don't think he beats Pain, considering how much he struggled with Orochimaru. I think Hiruzen does get negged because of his old age. Minato obviously should be able to deal with Pain, considering that he didn't even really view Pain as that big of an issue in comparison to, like, let's say, the masked man from back in, like, the day, from, like, the day he died. Tsunade, I'm sorry, I don't think she beats the Pains. We saw what happened in Konoha. She had to protect the entire village, but I don't believe that she really shows the capacity. I mean, I'll put it like this. If she can land a shot on any of the Pain, full-blown, heaven, Strength of Hundreds healings, I do think she just one-shots any of the Pains. I don't think any of them can tank it, but I don't know how she necessarily gets past Almighty Push within that 5-second time limit. Especially if she gets knocked back. Unless you believe that through Strength of 100 healings, she can, like, tank the blast, endure the blow, and just immediately get back up and start running at Pain. I don't know if I necessarily see that from her specifically. I wouldn't say that Hiruzen and Tsunade are the weakest Hokage. Well, I mean, someone has to be the weakest, but I will say that, like, a lot of Tobirama's scaling, unfortunately, does come from his old age. His better scaling comes from the war, but that's a version on Tobirama. That's definitely a version of that's definitely a version of Hiruzen that isn't held back by the fact that he has an old elderly body. And yeah, after that, it's Kakashi, though. Kakashi on his own, without Kamui, I do not believe can beat Pain. I know that, like, War Arc Kakashi is supposed to be stronger than the one that fought, like, Pain in the... allegedly is stronger than the one that fights Pain in Konoha, but he also had help, and I don't know how exactly he beats Pain even with, like, Purple Lightning, unless you believe that, like, Purple Lightning, for whatever reason, just blasts straight through Almighty Push. I think that all 6 paths... You think Tendo can tank a punch from Tsunade? You think he can? It's a bit weird. Because it's like, do you believe that Tsunade, with full strength of 100 healings, punches harder than a semi-charged tailed beast bomb from the Six Tails, right? It depends on one of those two, right? Do you think Tsunade, with full strength of 100 healings, punches harder than a partially charged tailed beast bomb from Six Tails Naruto, which is unquantifiable in comparison to a normal tailed beast bomb, right? I think it depends, but anyway. So, as I'm writing through this, Hiruzen struggled at the beginning with Orochimaru because of their old bond. Enma calls him out for holding back in that fight. Yeah, but you also see that Hiruzen does start to tire out, and he's not even capable of making a lot of jutsu in comparison to, like, you know... I'll go back to the fight real quick. Hiruzen clearly showed that his old age was getting to him because he also couldn't make that many clones. When he was alive, Anbu were panicking and Hiruzen making 2 clones, but in the war arc he makes 4 and proceeds to fire them against the largest elemental jutsu we've ever seen. That is true, but again, that's also without, specifically without the with his old age holding him back. I do think that there is an argument you can make for Hiruzen, depending on, we've seen the destruction it caused, so it's likely stronger. It's Tsunade's kick of Heavenly Kick of Pain as an example. Let me look it up. Heavenly Kick of Pain. The Heavenly Kick of Pain is specifically stated to have the capacity. Let's see if I can find it. Heavenly. It is specifically stated to focus all of the user's chakra into the... All of her body's strength is concentrated into her heel, right? So it depends on what... Because again, if you're going by destructive capacity, then like the explosion that Six Tails Naruto caused, yeah, I'm agreeing with Edo Hiruzen over old Hiruzen. I agree with that. Because that's the thing. It's like, do you agree with the idea that like, you cannot quantify a tailed beast bomb beyond its destructive capacity, but Tsunade, for example, just talking about the Heavenly Kick of Pain is out on its own. It says right here that all of her body's outrageous strength is concentrated in her kick, so that's a case of her manipulating her AoE so that she's capable of dealing the most amount of damage in a single strike. You can't make the argument for every single, like, let's say, hand-to-hand combat scenario, because there aren't that many characters that legitimately just bust through people's bodies in an instant with a single attack. But in this case, you can argue that Tsunade's punches would probably be a lot more powerful, especially when under the effects of the strength of 100 healings. But again, it just depends on what you choose to believe, right? Not this. I need print screen. There we go. I'm gonna need this for the video anyway. And I'll probably take... Jesus Christ, I'll probably take... Let me do this. Eon, does Luffy's Ryo scale to his AP? Yes, it does. Like, if Luffy's AP is planetary and he punches Kaido with Ryu, yeah. Kaido's inside survive the planetary punch, yes. If you believe that Luffy punches with planetary force, then yes, Ryo punches are essentially that. And technically a level higher, because it's stated during their reveal... during the explanation of Advanced Armament Haki Internal Destruction, it is stated verbatim that that the Haki is increased to another level. The Haki is up to a different level. Specifically, I'll go through it in a second. I'll go through it in a second, by the way. Heavenly Kick of Pain. I don't think I need Tsukuyomi for anything here, right? I don't think I really need Tsukuyomi, because most of the arguments that people make is how much time passes inside of Tsukuyomi rather than anything else. If you think the Signing are relative to the Predapath, catching Jiraiya's Odama Rasengan prior to absorption, does paint a good picture of Pain versus Tsunade's punches. Yeah, except, do you think that a massive Rasengan from Jiraiya is more powerful? Let me ask you guys this. Which attack is stronger? Which attack is stronger? 100 healings punch from Tsunade. Sage massive Rasengan Jiraiya. I'll let you guys pick and choose. That's fair. So you think that all the Sannin are just exactly relative in all stats, or do you think that like they can have different stats based on their potential jutsu? Because the thing is that like absorbing the massive Rasengan, in my opinion, doesn't paint the best picture, because we don't know what that attack would do if it landed. Does that make sense? Like, if you just landed the attack on any of the paths without it being absorbed, do you think it would just like tear their bodies to shreds? It's just a question that like I'm genuinely curious about, right? Because if that's the case, then you... Hey, what's up, Mr. Poopy? Also, to answer that question, Konashi, to answer that question for you, I'll pull up the panel real quick. Just to let you guys know, I can't promise that I cannot promise, if I have to be very honest, I can't promise that I can get that much work done as far as the script goes throughout this week, because I have even more family. I have 2 cousins, a cousin with her husband and her kids. They're all here. I don't know exactly how I can't tell you exactly what days I'm going to be going out with them or not. But either way, I'm going to try to get as many pages done as long as they're here. They're going to be only here for about a week. But I also have more family coming in. Because our house doesn't have that much space, it'll be some people coming in, then other people leaving, then some people coming in, then other people leaving. So it's like I have family just coming in back and forth. Just to let you guys know, in case you guys don't see a lot of updates on where the video, where the video's at. I'm referring to the page before the Predapath gets hit in the face, but it doesn't outright die. I agree it would do a lot more damage if it wasn't absorbed, or else absorbing would be worthless. You think that it took the full hit dead on? You think that Pain's bodies would stop working in Kamui? No, I don't think that they would stop working in Kamui well, it's... Let me think about this one. Is there an instance where any of the paths get teleported to... with any path that uses a chakra rod to be fed? No, right? There isn't any single instance where, like, the chakra rods... Is there any instance in the story where, like, a character with a chakra rod embedded into them doesn't have the chakra rod continuously receive chakra through another, like, time-space portal? Or, like, a time-space dimension? There's no instance of it, right? Have you lost your sanity yet? I have not. I have not. I think gaining the title of Toad Sage shows that he is rising above the rank of Sanin. That's an interesting approach. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that, but I see where you're coming from, right? There was actually a very interesting concept that was brought up where... Let me just draw this up for you guys real quick, right? So, like, let's say, let's just split this in half, and let's say this is real world. Kamui dimension, right? It's like one of those things where, like, it's one of those things where you have, like, let's say, if one of the paths, right? If one of the paths, I'll just draw, like, circles here. Right. And then let's do animal. Let's just make the font smaller. Let's just make the font smaller, right? Like you have animal, human, Preta, Ashura, Preta, Ashura, Naraka. And then you have the Deva, right? So you have Preta, Huma, blah, 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 right? It could be a case that, like, if you Kamui away, let's say, like, the animal path, could the animal path summon all of the other paths into the Kamui dimension, right? Could the animal path summon all the other paths to the dimension? Or if, let's say, the Deva path gets teleported in, can't the animal path just summon them right back, right? Like, wouldn't that just be the case that, like, the animal path is essentially, like, the hard counter to it? As a sealed dimension, like the Toad's stomach, so it probably completely caught the paths off. Obito did wait for him to die for a reason. Do you not mess with me here? Because I told chat what we did with Smoothie. I mess with you, Julio. I don't know what you're talking about with Smoothie, though. I don't know what you mean. In my opinion, it would stop working in another dimension. Stated in 436 that Pain has to be in a high place close to the paths in order to be controlling because that's required to send chakra signals. See, I was on the same path as that, but... I was on the same path as you, but, like, here's the thing. If it's supposed to be a cutoff dimension, like One Smart said, one of the paths technically did get eaten by one of Jiraiya's Toad stomachs, right? If it was eaten by one of Jiraiya's, Toads, it was during, like, the Pain... No, not Pain Assault, right? Hold on. When does Jiraiya die to one of the paths? Right. Because he does take one of the paths with him, right? He takes one of the paths to one of these dimensions. When the fuck does he defeat one of them, right? Okay. Sasuke goes on his little journey. Okay. And then on the next page, yeah, he brought one of them that was still inside of this, that it was still inside of one of these spaces, right? Yeah, so like, if what One Smart says is true, right? Yeah, that's the thing. If what One Smart says it's true, joke. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the drink. No, I know what you're referencing. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I don't know. I don't know at all what you're talking about. I never drank any smoothies of any kind or anything with you. I didn't do anything like that, bro. Yeah, he touches the rod and is still transmitting. That's what I'm saying, right? So, like, if it's a little weird, but the toad that contains the space is still in the rain village close to Nagato, but the Kamui dimension isn't really there in the same way. That's what I mean, right? It's like, it comes down to what you choose to believe, right? So if you choose to believe that this toad stomach is essentially a location that is separate, is also almost like its own separate dimension, specifically separate like Kamui, then likely it's one of those cases where, like, okay, so if the Deva path is teleported into the Kamui dimension, then the human path can summon it right back. But if the human path, sorry, the animal path, but if the animal path, let's say, summons one of the paths, it gets summoned into the Kamui dimension, could it summon all of the other paths, right? Or is it a matter of, like, it already has, bro, pulling a Clinton? What the fuck is a Clinton? I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Or is it one of those cases where, like, let's say the animal path gets teleported into the dimension, and then Obito, like, fights it on its own? Can it not, would it, like, run out of chakra? Would it not work anymore? Like, can he just pick them off one by one? I think it's an interesting premise to talk about. I mean, Itachi got caught in the toad's stomach where he burned through it and it was still in the hidden leaf. Yeah, I think it could be the case, like Cameron said, where, like, the Kamui dimension is completely cut off. But there's also an argument to be made that, like, the Kamui dimension is vast in that you can travel through the real world by using the Kamui dimension, right? Doesn't Obito, like, pop up in one location and then go to another location by first going through the Kamui dimension? Isn't that also the case? So couldn't you technically say that, like, the Kamui dimension exists as almost like its own parallel world to the human dimension? Like, this is one of those things that, like, because we don't have a direct feat to compare it, it makes it all weird. I don't know. This is definitely one of those thought experiments that I think definitely do affect the fight, because it does make or break whether or not I'm going good. I'm doing good, guys, by the way. Thank you, Pedge. It definitely does make one of those scenarios where, like, either Obito can pick off the paths one by one if you give him the chance, or it becomes one of those scenarios where the animal path, he essentially has to kill the animal and Naraka paths first, because otherwise, if he separates one of the paths, by, let's say, he takes the Naraka path to the Kamui dimension, but the animal path constantly summons it back, or the animal path gets teleported into the Kamui dimension, and it can basically summon all of them back in there, right? Like, it could just summon all of them back in there. It's weird. I think this is one of those cases where, like, it will just boil down to how you choose to interpret, like, this, like, weird gray area of, like, should it work, should it not work, probably works, probably doesn't work. I think it's interesting. I think it's definitely an interesting concept. But anyway, let me ask you guys a question real quick. I'm not going to unveil the full argument here, but I did want to talk to you guys. Who do you guys believe is more impressive within the first 100 chapters of their story? Luffy, Naruto. Did not need a lot of chakra to summon a bird. He really didn't. Really, the other dimension reminds me of the Shadowfell in D&D, since moving through there can move you in another world. Though the distance is shorter, think of, like, 5 steps being 20 steps in real time. I think that's fair. Yeah, like, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, the Kamui dimension is probably, like... The Kamui dimension is probably, like, an overlapping dimension that, like, Obito himself can use to traverse through a good portion of the world. Though, granted, we don't know its true expanded size. Does get 100 chapters Naruto to the Valley to the end? For context, Naruto within the first 100 chapters is still within the Chunin exams. So, just to show you guys, Naruto within the first 100 chapters, the best thing you can probably give Naruto within the first 100 chapters is that he technically summons Gamabunta by chapter 95, but he never uses it as a fight. Chapter 100 is a brutal cutoff for Naruto right before he gets scaling to Neji. Yeah, it's a brutal cutoff, but it's, like, the best I can do without giving him a little bit more, since One Piece did last since One Piece's first season is essentially all of East Blue. So all of East Blue is essentially the first 100 chapters of One Piece versus the first 100 chapters of Naruto that are essentially just everything between the Land of Waves and the Chunin exams, which is essentially 1 arc and a half. I had kind of no way of like really addressing this without making like some kind of benefit for the other, and so I had to kind of push it up for Naruto in terms of chapter count, just so I could make it fair, because I wanted to do 1 arc versus 1 arc, but that clearly couldn't have been the case without me just upping the chapter count for Naruto, which I thought was ultimately fair. By the way, if anybody would like to join my Discord server debate so that you guys can have debates, you guys can just be a part of the community, etc., you guys are more than welcome to join. I don't want to give you guys any things yet. We joke around a lot. We have a lot of memes. I think it's a lot of fun. I'll put it right now for like 25 uses for anybody that might want to use it. And I'll share it with chat right now, and I'll ping it as well. So if you guys want to join, we don't really do anything crazy in there. Just some chats, just some memeing around, just some jokes, if anybody would like to join. It's nothing crazy. And if you guys would like to have a personal discussion with me live right now, you guys can also, or try to present any scaling that you guys would like to present to me. You guys are also more than willing to do it. Just let me know, and I'm willing to have a conversation. By the way, I do make a 6-7 joke in the video. I do make a couple, but like one of them is like legitimately, like you can't blame me for making this joke. So to give you guys context, Buggy busts through not 1 nor 2, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses. Buggy does blow through like 6 to 7 houses, depending on whether or not you think that was a house at the end. How strong is Gamabunta? What is Luffy? Oh, if Luffy's able to beat Gamabunta. What are the odds of Luffy being able to beat Gamabunta? I would argue that Luffy can beat Gamabunta, but I didn't throw Gamabunta to the first 100 chapters. Only because he never summons Gamabunta for offensive purposes. The circumstances behind Naruto summoning Gamabunta were such that Naruto essentially had to either have his life on the line, and he also had to basically be out of chakra. He only summoned Gamabunta when he essentially had to only rely on the chakra of the Nine Tails. Which I also found to be a little weird. Because if please let the 6-7 Joe meme die. Unfortunately, I will not. But anyway, you have to, that's up for the internet, dude. But anyway, Luffy barely scratched by an attack that cuts through multiple trees. Yeah. Ian, what chapter does it show the Ryu scales to AP? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. We kind of like shifted around conversations and I kind of lost it. I'm sorry. Let me go back for that for you. Okay. When does Luffy begin training? When does Luffy begin? It was like around like 9:30 something, right? Yeah, 9:30 something. Okay. That's when Linlin shows up, but it's not Linlin that I care about. Okay. I'll just go one by one. Fuck it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being a little bit patient with me. Again, really sorry about taking so long. Okay, blasts, hits him. Damn it, if only I could use Haki. Okay, Master here, why don't you tell me? These guys aren't even good enough to train. We know you care about Linlin. You've been inside those caves? Hell no. Maybe when she was like 28 or some shit. I'm not doing that shit now. It's normal armament Haki. Okay, so he used the attack. Cool. Wrong. Okay. So I guess it does have to. I guess it is after. I guess it is after Linlin shows up, right? After she like loses her shit. Yeah, it would have to be like right after she specifically loses her shit. Yeah, no. I'm still too low. Okay. So they train. Yeah. Jesus. So much shit happens in between. God, all of this is so fucking trash. I don't care about any of this other story shit, bro. Show me the good panels. God damn. I don't need this. I can recall you said there was one defensive metric for Gamma Bunta, but I'm wondering if there was anything from the pages you can show you can gather from, like, the grounds or trees. Curious. Definitive metric? Unless you have something that specifically... Yo, wait, 1 second. Before I even get into that, what chapter does Hyogoro explain Rio? Okay, 939. I went through those chapters. What the fuck? Okay, that's clearly not the chapter I need. Wait, what the fuck? 39. Hold on. Am I missing any pages here? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Fuck me, now I have to go back. 1 second, I'm sorry. As far as scaling Gamma Bunta's size, there's no objective way of going about it. You either have to use the databook statement or use a calc, which is not canon. No, that's clearly not it. Okay. 937? So it's 937. So it's clearly not there. Where the fuck is it? Lower part of the page? That's not the panel, though. It's not the panel I'm looking for. I'm looking for this one. Alright, what page? No, it's just normal armament. No. It's just normal armament. Right there. Okay, then. Okay, he attacks. Does the thing. Oh, right. It's when Big Mom's crashing out. That's why I couldn't figure it out. It's because it's Big Mom specifically crashing out. Yeah, right here. Okay, so it says, all that I can teach you of Ryu, or what Haki calls what covers outside of the body. It can be used for defense like invisible armor, or you can convert it to offensive use to great effect. But when you go one level beyond that, the Haki you wield can penetrate the enemy's interiors and destroy them from the inside out, thus making it much more powerful. Right there. Let me just close off some of these so I don't get that much space. Yeah. I couldn't recall you said there was one definitive metric, but I was wondering if there was anything from the pages you can show that from, like, ground or trees. There's nothing you can use. I'm gonna be honest with you, Prognobito. If you believe in calcs, go ahead and use calcs. But as far as objective canon metrics, it is quite literally, the only stated size you can use is 17 meters. There is nothing more, there is nothing less. You cannot use anything else. Eon have argued that Chad is stronger than all of them tailed beasts, so I don't know. I would not argue that Chad is stronger than the tailed beast, but that's just because Chad has, like, no good feats. Either use the canon height or compare the height to another character whose height is from the same source. Correct, and there is no other height from any other source, because unfortunately, there is only one singular stated height throughout One Piece. As far as I am personally aware, there's only one singular stated height. As a normal human, but the thing about, like, Chad is that, like, what feat does he really have? Like, he hits a hollow with a big fucking telephone pole. That's kind of it. And, like, it was hurting the hollow, but again, that's just a telephone pole, right? For your favorite, that's crazy. Downplaying your favorite Bleach character. Chad is not my favorite Bleach character. I would never call Chad my favorite Bleach character. I don't even know if I have a favorite Bleach character. I really do not care for most characters in Bleach. I really cannot tell you a character that I genuinely like, can sit there and say I like. As a matter of fact, my answer usually comes down to Orihime specifically because Orihime, like, I don't know. She's a damsel in distress, but, like, what does it really fucking matter, right? Like, who really cares? I don't know. Bro just said, fuck Bleach. Yeah, no, I really don't care for Bleach. I really can't tell you I care for Bleach that much. Anyway, so for a speed scale, so far I have Luffy at about, so for a speed scale right now for Luffy, let me pull these up real quick, because I do want to talk about this for a second, so I can develop a couple more arguments later on. So, nothing within the first couple of chapters of the series really show anything that's that important for Luffy. I mean, I guess, like, a speed feat that you can give Luffy, although he's already flying through the air, is Luffy using Gum Gum Rocket before Marines fire with their flintlock rifles, which is, for the most part, a transonic, from my research, transonic to flintlock bullets fired from modified rifles. These are just regular flintlock bullets. They fly at around a rate of like 300 to 550 meters per second, which is around transonic to mid supersonic. So it would be anywhere around like anywhere above Mach 2. So it would be anywhere above Mach 2 technically, right? At least going by like, or wait, actually no, not anywhere above Mach 2. It would be anywhere above Mach 1.1, right? So it would be around like those 1.1 to like 1.2 speeds. Thanks for showing me the chapter about Ryuo. Yeah, she's broken damsel in distress. Yeah, for sure. I swear you and Kubo need to have a sit-down podcast for like 1 hour every month. Maybe your favorite character is Rangiku. I will not elaborate any further. No, I don't care about Rangiku. Rangiku is such a waste of fucking space. Rangiku pisses me off because it's like, she really just is a all looks, no substance. Oh, but she has her whole thing with Genichimaru, yeah. That whole little backstory where him and her were like friends or whatever, or I guess like fated love interests or whatever the fuck, and she does nothing throughout most of the story. She doesn't beat anyone important. She doesn't really do anything or ever really win a fight on her own besides releasing the Tenkei Kaicho or whatever the fuck the seal was and defeating some Arrancar guys, and that was kind of it. Like, she has like one win in the whole series and then she's kind of useless for the rest of it. She doesn't do anything else. I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't give Rangiku any props at all because she does nothing. And she doesn't have any cool powers. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go get some more water. Is Gunner bait, but she caught my ass? Yeah, thank you. That was the bit. 100,000%. Okay. So, I have Luffy at least having trans to supersonic reaction speed and potential combat speed since he can use Gum Gum Balloon. I'm gonna be honest, like, within the first 100 chapters of the series, like, I don't know, man. Just... It's too one-sided. As I go through the rest of the pre-time skip, I'm currently like on Buggy, but like I'm kind of over talking about Buggy so far. I think the next guy that I have to talk about is specifically Kuro, and Kuro only really has... What's the best I could even give him, right? Like, Kuro only really has like his movement speed feats, at least as far as being able to visibly avoid a person's line of sight by essentially perception blitzing them. That's kind of it. One of the things that I will say that is gonna, like, encapsulate a lot of my scaling... Not necessarily. Not necessarily. How do I put it? The buggy scaling alone really only shows that Luffy has the capacity to crush. I'll show you actually. I'll go through it. I'll go through it right here. If you only go up until buggy, right? If you only go with like early buggy, you really only have Luffy one-shotting a Sea King, which is unquantifiably impressive. It's the same as like punching the. It's more impressive than Naruto stopping the snake, but less impressive than Naruto. It's more impressive than Naruto stopping the snake, but it's still unquantifiable. Only because Luffy does one-shot the Sea Serpent, while the Sea King, while Naruto only damages the giant snake, right? Alvida really only has a single feat of, like, destroying a one-story, basically a one-floor storage shed, which, that really just depends. What instance would you get early? What in any instance would you get one above town level? Buggy. Literally above small town level through buggy. Yeah. The buggy ball. Right here. Right here. Blows through 7, 3, because it's kind of false. Not really. Here are 7 3-story houses that were blown away in an instant, and right here. Breathtaking, that would have leveled a smaller town. Right there. Would have leveled a smaller town. 7 3-story houses. Not 2-story, not 1-story, not just some shacks. No, 7 3-story houses were instantly laid waste by a single buggy ball. He was literally ripping away actual, like, blocks of the city. So, maybe village level? I'm not saying town level or any of that shit. I'm just saying this attack can bust a small town. As stated by the character. To level the hidden leaf, you're talking about a Hokage, right? You're talking about a reborn Hokage, right? And you're also and all they did, just to clarify that, because you know, where the hell is it? Orochimaru. Yeah, there we go. They made a wall on top of a building, and then they did this. Cool. Yeah, where's the giant wooden thing while undead that was going to level the Hidden Leaf? Because all I see right here are just a bunch of tree roots on a roof. That's just a bunch of tree roots on a roof, dude. What are we doing? Bro, you have more than 8 houses in your block. Yeah? Well, my block is probably bigger than a small town. What do you want me to tell you? It's the only thing I don't like about Buggy says that, but it's never shown that it actually destroys a small town. But it is wiping out. There's a jutsu comparable to the user. A jutsu comparable to the user? Okay, so I want you to tell me what exactly this is leveling. Because this is quite literally just a rooftop. This is a rooftop. A big rooftop. A rooftop nonetheless. How big is the rooftop? I don't know, man. Fantastic. So, cool. So, he can cover a rooftop with it, right? Cool. And also, I'm talking about Naruto, not a Hokage. Not an unalived Hokage that has been reanimated. So, I don't even know what your fucking point is. I don't like is that Buggy says that. I mean, you don't have to like it, but the fact is that he says it, therefore I can use it. So, there you go. Also, just for context, Zoro gets stabbed by Buggy. Also, yeah, Luffy's capable of, literally shattering a metal knife with his teeth. Right there, he shatters the metal knife with his teeth. And, Buggy quite literally tanks the explosion. You're not going anywhere. Buggy tanks the explosion. And Zoro, with a wound that went from his back through his front. Because, just to show you. Stabs him right through. So Buggy has never spoken in hyperbole ever. I mean, what am I supposed to tell you? It's the one statement I can use to blow it up. And unfortunately, it blew up multiple story houses through a single city. Through a single town. Okay, and now you get taken out. You know what? I'm not even just gonna take you out. I'm not even just gonna take you out behind the shed. I'm just hiding user from channel. I'm not doing this, dude. I'm not doing this. Don't fucking insult people on my stream. It was maybe half a block. That's up to you. He says, hey, you're saying that? He says a literal fucking level town. He says it would have leveled. His words, not mine. It would have, breathtaking, that would have leveled a smaller town. He's also been in the Grand Line himself. He's also been in the Grand Line himself while growing up, so he would at least have an idea of how powerful of how much power he needs. I don't know, man. Buggy has knowledge on the Grand Line. He's lived in the Grand Line for years. He says between his devil fruit powers, nothing can stop him from ruling the Grand Line, but granted, you can also argue that Buggy doesn't know how powerful the Grand Line truly is because he was in one of the most powerful pirate ships of all time. You have to argue that it's a hyperbolic statement. You can go under the assumption that it's hyperbolic. I don't have to fall under that. Unless you can prove to me that it's objectively hyperbolic, I do not have to agree with that. Maybe a highball interpretation, but it is an interpretation nonetheless. What is it? What is the weakest jutsu that can cut or destroy small trees? Multiple trees? I got you right now. I have you right now. Let me see. So, in the Land of Waves, one of the more powerful shinobi, Kakashi. Where is it? Right here. Kakashi rips through multiple trees right there. And in East Blue, I still haven't gone through the entirety of East Blue, so I have to go through a couple more things. But Usopp, the homie Usopp, was capable of... Right here. The homie Usopp was capable of dealing with a guy who could blast enough water that it ripped through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trees. And Kakashi's giant waterfall whirlwind attack was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trees. So probably twice as strong. We saw 7 or 8 houses destroyed. That is, in fact, Buggy absolutely spoken hyperbole. No, he didn't. Those are 3-story houses, large houses. I can say he did not speak in hyperbole because, again, a smaller town could likely have been leveled. That is a fact. Buggy absolutely spoke in hyperbole. You clearly don't know what hyperbolic means. Yeah. No. Plant Eatery. I banned them from the channel. Don't worry about it. They're not here anymore. I banned them from the channel. I hid user from the channel. I'm not fucking with that shit. If anyone insults anybody in this fucking chat for whatever reason because of an opinion based on anime, I am going to ban you from my channel. You can go fuck right off. I do not give a shit who you are. You're not insulting somebody over a fucking hot take over anime. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, one of Arlong's subordinates essentially performs a technically more impressive feat right here by simply smacking up some water and shooting it out. I'm not doing this shit where you guys insult one another. We're not doing that bullshit. If you insult somebody in my stream, I am going to fucking time you out permanently. I do not give a fuck. Also, Buggy blasts through several more houses in an instant. By the way, I just want to say, like, the houses are literally being bent over, literally being bent in half and being shot straight through. I don't know, man. I think it's kind of crazy that a single cannonball can do all of this shit and blow through multiple fucking houses back to back. I would say it can level a small town, especially from the distance that he's shooting at him at. Wait, let me see chapter 14. It was chapter 14, right? Yeah. Zoro also got caught. Yeah, Zoro also got caught in between. 14. Yeah, right here. Yeah, they got blown away. The houses were completely blown apart. And then Zoro stands right there. Why the fuck don't I have that, actually? What the fuck? Wait a second. Right here. How the fuck am I missing pages? Oh, that's right. Wait. There is no reason I should be missing pages. What the fuck? I am missing pages. I guess I missed them. Huh. Alright. Well, let me just download them real quick. 1411, 1412. That's good. A lot of our kids with no emotional control. Yeah, I don't give a shit what their fucking problem is. If they come in here and they do that shit, I will fucking eradicate them from my server. It's like they never even existed. I'm not doing that shit, dude. You can honestly go fuck yourself if you genuinely believe that it's okay to insult somebody based on an opinion on anime, bro. Like, anime takes, Yeah, I'm sorry. Just a normal Tuesday? Yeah, I don't. it could be a Tuesday, it could be a Wednesday, it could be a fucking end of the week. We're not doing that. Remember, you said that Luffy gets stronger after fighting and eating, but that only really happens after major fights, or can it be any? You can technically argue it at any point. Any big meal plus fight, you can honestly argue it. But if you want to just use it for the major fights, I'm only talking about the major fights personally. Any fight that essentially pushes Luffy's body farther than he went against Bluno is fair game for me. If he struggled harder than Bluno, which was essentially a one-sided curb stomp, I genuinely think Luffy gets stronger from any fight onward. This measurable stinking town is your treasure. I won't let you see it. Rule the grand line. How dare you? How dare you order me around? You know who you're talking to. It's a Monday. Anyone want a stray kitten? Found one last night. I would love a stray kitten. I would love to be able to take care of a. Honestly, I would love to have a little kitten, bro. But unless I'm gonna be honest with you, unless like we lived in the same city, I don't think I could. I don't think I could go pick it up. If anything, DM me your state and maybe I might try to like go get it. I don't know. I've been really wanting to, but I might do it after like my family leaves, which wouldn't be for at least like a week. So Luffy didn't get stronger after his second fight with Bluno? No, I believe he got 100% got stronger. 100% he had to have gotten stronger after that fight. There's no way you can argue that he fights against Rob Lucci right afterwards, and to a relatively close degree, if you think that he didn't get stronger after his second fight against Bluno. That's my whole point. His second fight against Bluno was a one-sided curb stomp, and he had a quick snack in the form of 2 slabs of meat. If you were going to sit there and tell me, join us, fathers, Eon, you have potential to be the greatest. I'm just taking care. Listen. Owning a pet and being a dad, I don't know if they're the exact same thing, but at least to some people. But I do consider them part of the family, so maybe. Okay, is that enough of a handicap for you? I'll show you a real swordplay someday. This is an Amazon Panda. I'm not shipping off. I'm not saying I'm shipping off a live animal. I can go to meet you to pick up the cat if we live in the same state. Depending on what state we live in. If anything, if you can like send me your state through like DMs. I don't even know like what town or whatever. Just let me know like the state. I could probably go pick it up by car. Actually, let me not commit to anything. Just ignore what I said. Buggy blew up 7 to 9 3-story houses in a town itself they're in, and states he can blow up a small town, meaning he can blow up a big portion of the town. Yeah. I agree with this. When Naruto fans believe that their show is way more realistic than One Piece, then that means that it's impossible for them to be Lightspeed. I know. One, Don Krieg's gas weapons was said to be able to bring down a small town to its knees, and yet its explosive spear is the most formidable weapon. Buggy could deal with the Blue Gories, who slaughtered Sea Kings. Yeah, but they also have to work together. Is the same for the first 6. It's the same thing for like the first. You know what's crazy? I've said the exact same thing. Having an animal and having like a baby between like ages, I don't know, like 6 months to like a year is basically like the same thing as having an animal, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's just don't know if you're aware that One Piece as a whole may look grand in power, but because the cosmology is just sillier. Luffy can hit giants, etc. Naruto has been doing that, in fact, better and stronger. Can you show me one example where Naruto's fighting a giant summon without the giant? Naruto can essentially fight a giant summon without using a giant summon of his own. Can you show me one example where Naruto fights a giant summon without using a giant summon of his own? Can you show me that real quick? Do me that kindness real quick, actually. Wouldn't that technically be saying Sanji and Zoro were stronger than Luffy before fighting Bluno? Not necessarily. They could have all gotten stronger. Not necessarily. Zoro and Luffy did both get stronger after after their specific fights with CP9. You can argue that Zoro became stronger after getting fucked up by Rob Lucci, considering that he also had some sake. But I'm mostly just using the argument for Luffy himself, and Luffy's the only one who essentially, like, the argument falls really down to. I will see. If you ain't ready for brain-dead memes every single day, every single hour, then don't. My son is going crazy with the 6-7 and Among Us stuff, and I ain't going to lie, I want to put him back in. That's crazy. When he thrashed the Pain Summon up in the sky with his bare hands. Hey, yo, Thunderglen, you want to just have a discussion You want to just have a discussion live? I have a Discord server you can just join, and you and I can just literally just yap it up. I don't insult people. I don't go into any of that shit. I'm just trying to see like what exactly the argument you're trying to make is, because I'm gonna be real with you. You're talking about Naruto using a form that amps his abilities at least tenfold, and you're talking about him thrashing him with his bare fists when all he does is just throw it up into the sky. And these two, he specifically has to launch into the sky with massive Rasengans. He's not thrashing anything. Like, these are literally the pages back to back. You can see it up top. Nothing's changing. It's the giant toad summons that are thrashing them, not Naruto himself. He's just throwing them up into the sky. So, not a very good argument on your end. Versus battle wiki section. Explosion power from radius/area should be enlightening. I don't care for anything that versus battle wiki has to say besides the speed scale. Base Luffy stated Enies lobby at around where was that stated? Where was that stated? Where was that stated, Dr. Strangle? Where is it stated that he has a Doriki of 277? I'm intrigued by this. He could fight them as a kid. Calc. Oh, I don't care about calcs. Calcs mean nothing to me. Yeah, no. If it's calcs, I could give two shits. I'm sorry. Not to say that you shouldn't use them. Just I will personally not use calcs. I just scripted for content and clips when debate people a few things that can happen. I'm just gonna get it called out for being on my side, and it'll be an average one-sided argument. It's not gonna be a one-sided argument. I'm not gonna call you out for anything. I'm just asking you if you want to have a genuine discussion where no one's going to insult you, no one's going to call you anything. I'm just trying to see where your head's at regarding all of this, because I'm going to be honest with you. Naruto stopping a creature with his bare hands while using Sage Mode is essentially an East Blue Luffy feat. Like, this isn't even me making shit up. Momu is unironically larger than Gamma Bunta and all of the other toads, and Luffy can just throw him around, and Luffy can literally just hurl him around. So, personally, I just say that Luffy was always stronger than Bluto, considering he was able to draw blood from Rob Lucci. When did he draw blood from Rob Lucci? He just needed to get past Bluto as quick as possible, at least after the Island Amp. Gets Momu diffed 100%. You think so? I would probably argue so. Actually, I can't really argue so because Momu doesn't really have any feats besides taking down like giant ships. But yeah, this thing right here, this sea cow, bigger, twice as big as him. Look at Momu's side compared to Luffy. Yeah, look at Momu's size compared to Luffy. Yeah, it's not consistent. The size visually does not look consistent. It's not that vast in scale. Cool. Let me show you something really funny. Let me show you something absolutely funny. Let me show you something canonically is really funny. By the way, I'm just gonna put these all in like an actual profile. Water 7 Luffy when he was able to draw blood from Lucci. Let me see. I'll pull that up in just a second. Let me just show this guy something that is like absolutely hilarious, right? Something that is absolutely and objectively speaking just hilarious in my opinion. Like, this isn't even something like you can't even laugh at. Like, I think this is honestly one of the funniest things ever. So here's Gamma Bunta, right? What do you see right there? What do you see right there? That says 17 meters. That's his height. That's his height, right? 17 meters. Now let me show you something about Momu. Let me show you something really funny about Momu. You see this right here? That's Momu's height, 36 meters. So Momu is, from an objective standpoint, if I go by these data books, Momu is, unironically, over twice as large as Gamma Bunta. What do you think it means when people say building level, city level? Yeah, that's why I'm not writing city level, building level, or town level. I don't give a shit about any of that. Objectively funny in my opinion. Alright, yeah! I think this is one of the funniest things I could ever fucking find about One Piece and Naruto. The fact that Luffy, unironically, can lift up a creature twice as large as the one that Naruto picked up with Sage Mode. Yeah, in the first arc, mind you. I think that's really funny. I think that's, like, objectively funny. Like, oh man. Okay, cool. If you think that one data book from Naruto is correct, then I think we can both agree that all data books is correct to use, which I want to use. You can use the data books if you want. I don't agree that the data books are objectively correct. I think that many data books actually contradict things or are contradicted by things within the context of the story, but, I mean, hey, I have no other size metric to use for Gamma Bunta, so I have to use 17 meters. I don't believe that the data books are all objectively correct. I don't believe that the data book statements are all objectively correct, but guess what? This one in particular is the only one that I can legitimately use. Naruto didn't just lift it, he threw it as As the clouds, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that he threw it as high as the clouds. I do not agree with that in the slightest bit. You see clouds in the background. I don't see any clouds. I don't see any clouds when they're up in the air. I don't see any clouds. You're telling me that they're as high as the clouds? Cool. Luffy threw Momu outside of the island's range. Luffy threw a giant creature outside of the island's range. Yeah. Momu's outside of the island. 1 second. Where the fuck's the chapter? Yeah, right here. Momu's outside of the island. Fantastic. Wait, look at the clouds? Cool. Yeah, and Luffy threw him outside of the island. Fantastic. Cool. Fantastic. So again, if you guys want to have a discussion online, we can. Sanji versus a banana gator. Oh yeah, that one's pretty impressive too. Where was that? Alabasta, right? Let's see. Naruto, no, One Piece. Alabasta, and then it was the banana gators, right? It was before this. Before that, yeah. Yeah, there's Sanji literally knocking up a creature that preys on Sea Kings. These things prey on Sea Kings. And Sanji can just knock it up into the air. Mio chapter 1 of One Piece ends with him one-shotting a giant animal. Yeah. The clouds are in the fact in the background. Naruto didn't throw them higher than the clouds. I agree with that. Did not throw them higher than the clouds. They're just in the background. Yeah, Kishimoto fucks around. You don't even have a good metric for the island size. I don't need a metric for the island size. He threw them outside of the island. That's all I need to argue. Plus, Arlong Park is a tiny edge of the island. Not really. Actually, not true. Actually, not true. Because this right here, this whole gate area right here is larger than Momu himself. And Momu is over twice the size of the tailed beasts. But it's just weak. No, you will believe that it's weak. This thing, the pool itself, can literally hold a 36 meter tall creature. This thing is 36 meters tall, and this entire pool can hold him. So I don't agree with that. When Dog Creep pretends to use gas weapons can annihilate an entire town, so he won't waste it like that. Chapter 64, the spear is deadlier than the gas weapon. And Nell could destroy the entire country of Skypiea, yeah. I'm just on the first 100 chapters, guys. I'm not trying to push it past the first 100 chapters. I just want to be clear about that. But, yeah. Naruto needed a whole Sage Amp transformation in order to pull off something that, again, East Blue Luffy just does. You can argue all you want about, like, oh, the island isn't that big. Oh, how far outside of the island did he throw the creature? He threw it outside the island. I'm telling you right now, he threw it far outside the island. I went to chapter 7, page 10, in episode 5 of the anime, and confirmed consistent destruction capabilities of the Buggy Ball is heavy, doesn't level more than a street of houses. Cool. He still said it can level a small town. You trying to argue that is like somebody trying to argue that Don Chinjiao can't split a continent of ice because he doesn't split the whole thing. Don't see anyone else full-heartedly thinking One Piece wins because it's a contrarian opinion. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I go by based on the scaling. Can you give me a feat? Can you give me a feat that Naruto performs in the first 100 chapters that's more impressive than Luffy throwing Momu? Can you give me one single example, Thunderglam? I'm telling you right up. And Michael, I'm going to be honest with you. Again, the character stated it. It's consistent with the story. What do you want me to tell you? Blowing up multiple three-story houses through an entire row of houses with a single cannonball blast. Yeah, I would say it can probably blow away a small town. I would argue it could probably level a small town. But Buggy, what do you mean Buggy is known for hyperbole? What do you mean Buggy is known for hyperbole? Can you express that? Because you're saying you're ignoring fact for a character known for being exaggerated. No. Buggy tends to fail upwards. There's a difference between that and him being hyperbolic. There's a difference between people considering Buggy hyperbolic based on the things that he does in later arcs, and Buggy taking advantage of that, and Buggy stating right here when he's meant to be taking at least as a consistently serious villain, literally wiping out houses off of a town. There's a massive difference between that point in the series and this point in the series, and you're ignoring that. I'm not ignoring facts, you are. You have to prove to me that Buggy is inherently a hyperbolic character where everything that he says is hyperbolic. Me, when Mario is a star level or buster because he can consume a whole star. When he stopped a giant snake that was charging at him at full force, It's impressive showing, plus Naruto as a toddler, by the way, not an adult, just inexperienced Naruto versus Luffy as a teen, by the way. Cool, let's talk about the snake then, right? Let's talk about the snake. So, let me just cover a couple of things about the snake, right? Let's just, where is it? It's supposed to be back here, right? After Rock Lee, yeah, right here. So, giant snake, right? Let's go over the giant snake, because I already kind of covered that. Okay, Naruto gets whacked into three large hollow tree, four large hollow branches. Actually, no, three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 large branches, right? Measures 30 minutes, One Piece magazine. Banana Wani measures 30 meters, One Piece magazine, volume 11. Thank you so much. I'll keep a note of that. Okay, so Naruto gets knocked up by them, is bleeding out of his mouth. Falls down, punches the snake. The snake is still conscious. The snake is still conscious, by the way, just for context. Also, not one of the large toad summons like Gamabunta, but anyway. Stops the snake. How big is the snake? I can't tell you. I have no objective metric to go by with this snake specifically. The snake is still conscious. The snake has not been defeated. The snake has not been taken down. Orochimaru removes it. How early Naruto tanked those. Fantastic. Fantastic. Cool. How is that more impressive than Luffy doing this? How is that more impressive than Luffy literally whirling around a giant creature larger than the snake? How is that more impressive? Explain to me. Again, dude, just chat with me online. Like, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but like, I'm just telling you straight up. Yeah, did he pick up and throw it? Did he defeat it? Is the snake still combat ready afterwards? Because I'm gonna be honest with you. All Naruto did right here, the difference in strength between stopping a giant snake and yeeting a giant cow is not even close, buddy. That's what I'm saying. It's like, cool, he stopped a giant snake. That wasn't unconscious. That wasn't taken down. That wasn't defeated. No, he bruised it. Objectively speaking, he bruised it. I will give you that. 100%. Naruto with a nine tails, you're comparing grabbing something and spinning it around to stopping it, something like that. Which, what do you think takes more force? Cool. Cool. I'll just go back a little bit then. Since you don't want to be genuine, sure. I'll go back real quick. Cool. Cool. Here's the giant sea cow. Here's Naruto knocking it down. Here's Naruto knocking it down with a single punch and drawing blood from it. Something Naruto didn't do. Oh, but the sea cow got back up, Eon. Oh, look at that. Sanji kicked it away. His weaker subordinate kicked it away. Oh, look at that. His weaker... Oh, look, 3 hits. It took 3 hits, one of which was from Luffy, in order to make this thing literally pass out. Yeah. A giant sea cow. It was chapter 349, page 9, when Luffy draws blood. Luffy even licks his lips. Let me check it out. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fish and iron, fun character, order 7. 339. 349. Thank you. 49. Oh yeah. He caught Rob Lucci off guard. Yeah. He's not even remotely looking at him at this point. Yeah, he caught him off guard. Why would it be a gag? So it's a gag? You sure it's not a gag? Why would it be a gag? He punches a giant 36-meter tall cow, twice as large as Gamabunta, and it literally falls back. It gets back up, and then his weaker subordinate kicks it twice, and it finally put down. And you're telling me that it's a gag after he grabs it later on and sends it flying off of an island. You explain to me why it's a gag. Explain to me why it's a gag. Where's the bingo card? Eon, what you shown was a gag sequence, a typical, okay, extremely funny faces. Oh, what does that matter? Is the feet still not there, though? Is this feet still not there? Does Momu not look passed out? Sanji can crack a joke all he wants because he's not really in danger. There's a difference between a character being in danger and not being in danger, and guess what? They were not being in danger. It would be a gag scene if they were still in danger and they were still breaking gags, but guess what? They're really not in danger here. Hey, you ended the year with a 4.1 GPA? Yo, guys, can we give Skittle Kai some W's, please? Let's give Skittle Kai some W's. I'm really proud of you, dude. It's fantastic. Hachan lifts 6 swords that weigh 300 kilograms each, and Zoro, even though injured, easily stops them. Where is that? When does Zoro defeat Hachi? Right here. My swords weigh 300 kilograms each. So this guy is currently lifting 369. He is lifting 1,800 kilograms with each. He's lifting 1,800 kilograms total. Does the buggy ball feet look closer to Manhattan City block or Manhattan City or 10 Manhattan City block? Should we go by buggy? Diegetically means small town, which is 7 large buildings, or I don't know, dude. Which is an external standard that won't change series to series or character to character. Does the Sea Cow have any other feats to establish durability? Neither does Gamma Bunta, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, but neither does Gamma Bunta. I admit I'm very rusty on scaling myself, so do keep that in mind. That's completely fine. You can tell he doesn't even know One Piece. Dude said the cow thing is a gag, and even if it was, One Piece is somewhat known to turn gags into something serious with an explanation. I agree, 100%. Listen, it's fine if you're rusty, Thunderglam. It's completely fine if you're rusty, but like, my point here is, it doesn't matter if you're rusty. You're not going... I'm gonna put it like this, Thunderglam. If Naruto truly was more impressive than One Piece, if he truly was more impressive, if the feats that occur within the first 100 chapters of Naruto were truly more impressive than anything Luffy does, I would 100% agree with you. I would 100% say it. It would be part of the video. I don't have an objective reason to sit here and lie to you and tell you that, oh yeah, I don't think that stopping a snake is more impressive. Oh, I do think that stopping a snake is more impressive than taking down and spinning around a giant sea cow. I'm not here to tell you that I'm not here to tell you that I would lie in such a way if that were the case, right? But guess what? It's not. There's no reason for me to entertain that. Gamma Bunta's water gun stoops are very impressive, in my opinion, but I don't know how it compares to Luffy. I'll put it like this. So let's go to the... I'm not talking about Gamma Bunta within the first 100 chapters, even though Naruto does summon him, because he never uses them for offensive purposes, and it was a very specific scenario. But let's look at Gamma Bunta's fight with Shukaku, right? Gamma Bunta's fight with Shukaku essentially boils down to... Shukaku shoots an air bullet. Gamma Bunta jumps up into the air and shoots 2 water bullets. The air bullets blast through, they clash with the air bullets, and then they hit Gamma Bunta, causing a massive amount of blood, and he says right here, ow, that hurt. That little ball was packed with an unbelievable amount of chakra. Even someone like me can't take many more of those little balls. Mind you, he took 1 shot exactly. So what are we gonna do? The most important thing there is, we've got to clobber that host brat awake. Then the jutsu will come undone. Yep, and that's basically it. That is the entirety of Gamma Bunta's feats as far as this fight goes. He has nothing else, and everything else that he shows up later on are against the Pain fights, right? So then you would say, well, Eon, let's compare them to the Pain arc. Okay, well, he fights the giant dog. What does the giant dog do? The giant dog fights another giant toad summon. There is literally not much I can give him as far as objective quantifiable attack potency. There's nothing I can give you in terms of quantifiable attack potency or durability. I can't give you anything. I genuinely can't give you anything. What am I supposed to do here? Like, if you look at the environmental damage that Shukaku does to the environment, Gamma Bunta can match it. He matches 2 of the 3 or 4... How many air bullets was it again? Let me check that up again. Oh, I closed it. Fuck, I closed it. My bad. Where's the tuning exams? Okay, let's go back. Cool. He blasted through an unquantifiable amount of trees. Fantastic. An unquantifiable amount of trees. Here is a guy weaker than Luffy. Here is a guy weaker than Luffy, literally blasting through multiple trees as well with a giant water bullet. Has a feat of the massive knife, one-shotting and slicing Shukaku's arm. Cutting through a massive arm made of sand is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. 100%. It is pretty cool. I will give you that. 100%. But Shukaku also isn't a speed-based fighter. That's the other thing. I don't believe Shukaku's a speed-based fighter. Like, he slashes through one arm. Yeah. When does... that also wasn't fully awakened Shukaku. Yeah, that's also not a fully awakened Shukaku. However that affects the scaling. You could quantify it by counting and measuring the trees, just saying, but that doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't add anything. Cool, he blew past how many trees? I can't quantify for you how many trees he blew past here. I can't quantify for you how many trees this is, because what can you even tell me is a tree here? What exactly is a tree in this case? Like, are we going by, like, little roughage right here? Like, again, it's just becoming more and more, like, subjective the more we go through it. That's kind of my whole point. It's completely subjective how powerful you think these attacks are. By simply hopping around, that's casual forest level stuff. I don't think he's wiping out an entire... This is a forest. He's taking down trees, not an entire forest. He's taking down trees. He's not wiping out an entire forest, dude. Let's not be disingenuous here, Dunderglam. Like, that this is literally this number of panels right here is essentially the entirety of their fight. Yeah, this is essentially just the entirety of the fight. Right here. You can get an estimate of the height of the trees based on the characters. Okay, and the trees are far below 17 meters. The trees are definitely far below 17 meters. What, 6 meters tall? 8 meters tall? Actually, no, because if it were 8 meters tall, then it would be at least half as tall as Gamabunta. They're not even that tall. 7 meters tall? Like, cool. Does Naruto follow real-world physics and all of that? Why or why not? It doesn't follow real-world physics because they have attacks that are stated to be light speed. Chalk buggies to city-level feet? Because it's stated. Because it's stated. Right here. There's a statement for it. Buggy is saying it with absolute confidence. Right here. He stated it. Would have leveled a smaller town. What do you want from me? The force required to displace them, like, you could... I'm not going to calc it, though. Calcs mean nothing. I could calc it, but guess what? That value, no matter how hard I try to argue it, would be absolutely meaningless because Kishimoto does not confirm that value to be true. Calcs mean nothing to me. I'm sorry, but doesn't really mean anything. You can argue all you want about the calculations, you can argue all you want about all that stuff, does not mean a single damn thing. No matter how you try to argue it, the argument will always boil down to, is that calc canon? No, means nothing. Means absolutely and objectively speaking nothing. We peaked at 64 votes? Nice. Sorry, I'm gonna go get some more water. But please don't just hand away saying it means nothing to me. Yeah, I mean, I can't, I have to hand wave it away, I'm sorry. Like, there's just, how am I supposed to calculate it? Okay, but look at what you guys need for a character simply blatantly stating what's on the page, at least for Naruto, more freedom, we can interpret the freedom, arguably gives us more feats that way. Actually, it gives you worse feats to go by because you can't quantify it then. If you can't quantify it by statements, then you have nothing to go off of, especially if you don't have any sense of scale. Like, like, I'm gonna put it like this, right? How powerful, let me ask you this question, Thunderglam. How powerful do you think this explosion is? How powerful, attack potency-wise, do you think these explosions are? How powerful do you think these explosions are without any statements whatsoever? How powerful do you think these explosions are? Yeah, this is a consistent theme I've noticed. We can assume photons in real world because they are photons. Well, it's okay to look at these No, it means nothing. In calcs. F calcs, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm 100%, yeah. Because here's the thing. If the writer is going out of their way to say, these are photons, this is light, this is this is that, if an author is going out of their way to specify something within the context of their narrative, the context of their lore, and they specify it consistently by bringing up that, again, this is the only thing I have to go off of, I will use it. Because again, I have statements. I am using the narrative, which is the author's intent. I am using everything that the author is giving me. If you go by calculations, you have to go by something that is entirely unquantifiable because the math, no matter how you choose to go about it, will have values that are based entirely off of an assumption. There is no way you can make a calculation to be objective if you have to use an assumption. Gamma Bunta is 17 meters tall. The reason why I can say that photons are photons is because the author is going out of their way to say that they are photons. They are specifying that they are photons, and photons are massless particles. The difference between that and, say, the distance right here between these trees, give me 1 second. What am I supposed to use? Sorry, I had to take a call. Sorry, what am I supposed to use right here? Because at that point you're arguing that everything an author draws is to perfect scale. Everything that the author is drawing is perfectly to scale. Are you arguing that everything an author draws is perfect scale every single time? I don't know. I can't tell you. Gamma Bunta could be bigger depending on the scenario. Gamma Bunta could look bigger here in comparison to Shikaku than he does here, than he does here, than he does here, than he does here. The number of trees, the amount of things that they are going through, you are going to get different scales for the characters consistently. You could say, well, look at the size of the trees. Okay, well, Gamma Bunta is 17 meters. Well, look at the size of some of these trees. Okay, so some of these trees only reach about this high into Gamma Bunta's legs. But then right here, some of them reach up to his high back. So do you understand where I'm coming from? It is completely inconsistent to say, but it's the author's own drawings. Why would they not know this? Why? So you're telling me that an author knows exactly, can draw to perfect pixel scale every single image that they've ever drawn. You're telling me that an author can draw everything perfectly every single time, because guess what? People will tell you that the trees in Naruto are far higher, are far taller because of pixel scaling. People will tell you that these trees that they're standing on are 12 meters tall, 100 meters tall, 10 meters tall, 15 meters tall, 18 meters tall because of the size of these trees. But guess what? When you compare them to the canon size of the giant creature, they're not as big. Like, you see how small Naruto is, for example, in this fucking panel. Not this one. Let me see. What's a good panel where you can get a sense of scale in comparison to the size of these guys? Let me pull one up real quick. Look at how big these fucking trees are in comparison to Naruto. Multiple branches reaching down to the ground, and we still can't even see the ground here. And you're gonna sit here and tell me that, like, okay, so he drew no perspective can be exaggerated, much like statement can be exaggerated, much like statements. Correct, but you have to prove to me that Buggy's statement is hyperbolic. Prove it. What makes Buggy's statement hyperbolic? Look at how tall the trees are that you can't even see the ground beneath them, and yet you can clearly see that the summonings are far taller than the trees themselves. Like, again, I gotta play Deltarune, someone else tag in. What am I supposed to tell you? Just give you some random fucking scaled size? Or what? Pixel scale every single image and then try to reach? Because the bomb went off and destroyed 7 houses, correct? Okay, cool. Destroyed 7 houses. And Buggy said, breathtaking, that would have leveled a smaller town. Because he's saying it would have leveled a smaller town. That's it. That's all I have to go off of. So I will use it. That's all I have to go off of. That's like saying this statement right here. That's like saying this statement with Gamma. That's like saying this statement right here. Where the fuck is it? That's like saying this statement right here is hyperbolic. That's like saying this statement here is hyperbolic. Why is this hyperbolic? Let me pull up the other one. Pre-time skip Sasuke versus Buggy. Who wins? I don't think Sasuke can unironically hurt Buggy. I don't think that Sasuke could unironically hurt Buggy. Where the fuck is it? 771. So you're telling me that this statement right here is also hyperbolic then, right? We'll never see them actually split the continent. Well, all we have to go off of is the statement, but he says right here, I have now seen your foot is powerful enough to split the ice continent. Then you could full-heartedly accept Kurama turning the world to ash. Not exactly. Not at all. Because the series does not even remotely support it. Can Sasuke tank a buggy bomb? He tanked a small explosion that blew up a tree branch. Sure, if the town is half a block big, yeah. Then yeah, technically destroys a small town. Yes, that's my point. I don't care if the town, if you're thinking of an actual fucking town in the real world. I'm talking about in One Piece. If a town is nothing more than like 10, 15 fucking small houses in a small village, yeah, I would call that a small town, yeah. The crack of ice ended, sure. And, still says it right there, he can split a continent of ice. Destroying a smaller town after destroying 7 ounces of most, it would probably be a piece of a block. Sure, the town could be a piece of a block, that doesn't matter. It's stated to destroy a smaller town. It always makes me laugh when Garp meets Don Shinjo. He mentions destroying 8 mountains as training, and I guess what? Garp trains without haki. Yes, Garp says it himself. I trained by pulverizing 8 mountains with my bare fists. But apparently it's an issue, dude. I have literally one showing that can turn down any continental argument, and the Gorosei got stopped by a normal building. Yeah, tossed by Luffy. A normal building tossed by Luffy, and all it was to literally stop the sucking in. Eon, if a 5'8" man destroys a cardboard castle by stomping it, am I castle level? Not necessarily. But you specified that it was cardboard castle. You specified that it was a cardboard castle. I would call you a cardboard buster. I wouldn't call you a castle buster. But it's a building, though. What's a building? Okay, cool. You know how big those buildings are? You know how big the Gorosei are? But I destroyed a castle. Yeah, but it's a cardboard castle. You specified cardboard castle. See how it works? It's a cardboard castle. Is it anything impressive? What about the... That's my statement, and I have the fact that I stomped the castle. Yes, you specified a cardboard castle. That is your statement. You specified that you destroyed a cardboard castle. Correct. You shouldn't have written a cardboard castle. You should not have written that. Congratulations. You stomped out a cardboard castle. Fantastic. The Gorosei can't be too big if it's just a building. Actually, they could be very big. Let me show you something really fucking funny. Let me show you actually something really funny. I'll probably just pull up the actual chapters then. Because I don't know if I have all of Egghead. Typically, no, I can only destroy wet paper towels with extreme effort. Bro specified... Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have specified then. If you said, hey, yo, Eon, I destroyed a castle. Okay, cool, but what if the castle's made out of cardboard? Then it wouldn't be as impressive. If it were just a regular castle, then sure. Here, let me pull up the chapters real quick for you. Library, One Piece, where is Egghead? There we go. Egghead. Okay, let me show you how big the Gorosei are. The Gorosei show up around, after this point right here. The Gorosei show up. Okay, cool. Let me show you how big the fucking Gorosei really are. Eon, I'm sorry, but that is that very definition of being disingenuous. How am I being disingenuous when I'm using the very statement you used? I am using your statement. If I destroyed a cardboard castle, again, keyword here, cardboard, I'm not being disingenuous. I'm telling you exactly what you said to me. You are now being disingenuous by removing the fucking fact that you said cardboard castle. You're being disingenuous. I'm not. There you go. You can't call someone disingenuous and then completely ignore the very thing you just said. You cannot do that. No, Sasuke wins because he melts Buggy with a fireball. Buggy doesn't have any heat-resistant feats at that time. Yes, he does. He took an explosion straight to the fucking face. Is disingenuous on purpose, right? So if the whole base of the conversation is disingenuous, then what's the point of even having it in the first place? You see what I'm saying? Okay, let me show you how big the Gorosei are. Fuck, I don't have all the panels, so I guess I'll just have to look them up. Okay. Here. I have to pull this up. I have to pull this up. No, I have to pull this up. No. Okay, right here. No color. 717. I'm sick of Whitebeard planetary being downplayed as someone as weak as Shinja can destroy a continent and Whitebeard is not planetary. Yeah, all that. Yeah. Okay. 1117. Okay. Where are the Elbaf ships? Does anybody remember? Yeah, the ship jump. Where's the jump from the ship where, like, all of them are essentially trying to, like, attack the ship at the same time? Okay, so we're just gonna go back from here. And their monster form similar? No, they're bigger than Dory and Broggy. They're bigger than Dory and Broggy, and I can show you in a second. Far larger. Okay, so, for starters, this is a giant ship. This is the Thousand Sunny at 56 meters tall. So what you're saying is, in spite of the very panel you see, in fact, you'll choose a clown statement over your own very eyes? Yes, I will choose the clown statement because otherwise I have no way of quantifying it. Regardless, other than saying it is either a small town level blast or a blast powerful enough to blow away 7 3-story houses. Yes, it's either one or the other. And I do have that written in the fucking video. It is either a small town level blast, or if you don't believe Buggy's very specific statement, it at least is powerful enough to wipe away 7 3-story houses back to back without any kind of... What's the word I would use here? Retaliation, I guess. No, it wouldn't really be. Okay, so, the Thousand Sunny is canonically 56 meters tall. This is a giant warship. These marine ships are also 60 meters long. Look at how big the fucking worm is in comparison to the giant fucking Straw Hat ship. Oh, and what did Luffy do again? Can anybody remind me what Luffy specifically did? Oh yeah, he threw a building at one of these guys. Oh wait, that was the wrong page. My bad. He threw a giant building at one of these guys that was so big it could cover the entirety of the house. Sorry, the entirety of its mouth. There you go. Resistance. Thank you. Yeah, right here. See how big this building is? Yeah, let's go back right here. Let's go back right here. Again, 60-meter tall ship. A ship that is over 3 times larger than a tailed beast. The scale is inconsistent or something? No. The Thousand Sunny is canonically. Thousand Sunny height. Thousand Sunny is canonically 56 meters tall. Not Thousand Sunny height. 56 meters tall. The Thousand Sunny is canonically 56 meters tall. It's taller than a fucking Attack on Titan ship. So again, what's the argument? Then I don't think I can trust your scaling anymore, bro? That's a you problem. I don't give a shit. It's all a matter of opinion. I really couldn't care less if you or anyone else doesn't agree with my scaling. Why is town level Buggy so hard to believe when Pell, someone far weaker than Luffy, surviving a city level explosion without even losing a limb? I don't know, man. It's like they'll believe their eyes before they believe what the fuck the writer is fucking putting into the story. Whatever, bro, size doesn't matter. No, it fucking matters. It fucking matters because Luffy can make himself bigger than his own ship, and Naruto's Kurama avatar is only as big as Shikaku, which means Luffy can unironically baby grip Naruto. I can unironically argue that Luffy can baby grip Naruto and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh yeah, let's talk about Pika as well. Like, what are we talking about here? So I can't use a statement given to me by the author writing down in the series because a person thinks it's hyperbolic? Like, what the fuck? It's fine if you disagree, but why not provide proof that refutes Eon's claim? They don't have any proof. He's just saying, well, it blows up 7 houses. How is that a small town? Ask Buggy! Ask fucking Buggy. Yeah, size doesn't matter until you... size doesn't matter when it's One Piece. It only matters when it's Naruto and when we're trying to figure out the size of the fucking trees, dude. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Power scaling has gone downhill? No, it hasn't gone downhill. The problem is that now you have people that actually know how to power scale, that use the information presented to them in the story to actually quantify characters instead of using bullshit calculations that mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, or simply saying that a character is super duper powerful without ever backing anything up. Everything that I told you, Thunderglam, I have backed up with either evidence from the story or some kind of example that is given to me within the context of the story, and guess what? You don't like it because you cannot argue for the guy you want to win. Again, like I told you before, Thunderglam, if Naruto was indeed stronger, if Naruto was indeed more powerful, I would be saying it. You are doing the same type of comparing a calc is doing. You're just eyeballing it. What else can I do, dude? A calc is nothing more than an eyeball. It's all eyeballing. All power scaling is eyeballing. You can't sit here and tell me that power scaling isn't inherently just eyeballing what the fuck is on the screen. What the fuck are we talking about? You can fit many people on a block, especially on a small island. Any place that has any place with 5,000 or less residents, and you can fit that many people on a block, especially in a small island. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's so easy to believe that, like, Naruto characters are continental because of an explosion from the Ten Tails from the curvature of the Earth, but when you actually look at the fucking map, oh man, look at that. No, what were you talking about? You ask Naruto fans for fucking statements, they don't have any. You ask them for feats, they present calcs, which again, that's legit the only biggest size you have for One Piece, and that's it. Not really, I can show you more shit. I can 100% show you more shit. You want me to bring up Elbath? I could bring up Elbath. They want us to pixel scale some green smears on a page and make up arbitrary number of trees. That's what I'm saying. All power scaling is a fucking opinion. Jesus fuck. As a matter of fact, since you guys seem to not understand this, let me read for you the first 4 pages of my script. This is literally the first 4 pages of my script. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Before we even begin the video, I want to ask a very big favor from you, the viewer. No worries, I'm not going to ask you to do anything like any of that algorithm boosting stuff like liking or sharing. What I want is for you to simply not skip the first portion of the video, because I want to at least convey where I'm coming from and how I will logically reach my conclusion regarding this fight. As many of you have been following my content may know, the main tagline for my channel is power scaling is all about interpretation. All about interpretation. That means no matter how comprehensive, reasonable, or objective you believe your scaling or argument for a character or series is, it ultimately boils down to just an opinion. That is true. Everything that I'm going to write, no matter how much evidence, no matter how much whatever the fuck I throw in, is just an opinion. It does not fucking matter. Everything... And I do mean everything from feats to statements to the source material to different media adaptations to supplementary sources to the metrics we use to quantify said evidence or how we rationalize said evidence in some way, shape, or form will eventually boil down to an opinion that you either believe or refuse to believe. I say this because I want to make it very clear that this whole video, no matter how much evidence I present for either character or how rational the conclusion I come to is, someone will ultimately disagree with at least one thing that I say, no matter what, even if it's the tiniest of nitpicks. With that being said, I want to explain the biggest thing that people seem to either misinterpret or simply not understand about my scaling, and that is my metric. A metric is essentially the logical foundation every scaler uses in order to quantify how powerful they believe a character is. The most common metric I see people use across the internet for most media is based on calcs, usually under the assumption of some pixel scaling. By estimating the size, weight, speed, structural composition, or even the quantum fucking mechanics behind feats or statements, scalers will essentially use real-world physics, math, or science in order to quantify how powerful characters can be or how devastating their attacks actually are. This is how many scalers, including Death Battle, reach their conclusions. But what if I told you that this isn't the only way to scale a series? Now, This topic in of itself could be made into an entire video, but the gist is that I developed my own personal metric for scaling that doesn't require you, the viewer, to learn or understand a whole bunch of complex math. This method is called NILE, or Narratively Implied Low-End Scaling. This metric essentially uses statements, feats, and the narrative as implied by the author in order to properly quantify how powerful characters are within the context of the series, also known as power scaling. My biggest 3 reasons for developing this metric were primarily formed due to some issues that I had with calc-based scaling as a whole, with some discrepancies. I'm gonna write discrepancies. It's discrepancies that I had regarding calc-based scaling as a whole. Number 1, in order for calcs to work, you essentially have to believe and assume that whatever series one is scaling ultimately follows the exact same physics and logic that we humans have to adhere to in the real world. This obviously can't be the case because many fictional stories will in some way, shape, or form mess with physics or completely ignore them in order for the story to progress without any kind of massive consequences. Sometimes a story doesn't adhere to real-world logic, hence why they are considered fiction. Both Naruto and One Piece ultimately break the laws of relativity in half because they genuinely have characters that are either light speed or faster than the speed of light, which is objectively impossible if you're adhering to real-world physics and math. So in my mind, why even bother using math or physics if the story themselves don't care? My second reason is the most calcs in some way, shape, or form reach their conclusions through utilizing values entirely derived from assumptions, mostly in the form of pixel scaling. This one is a bit of a two-parter. Pixel scaling is a metric that I inherently disagree with because it falls under the logical assumption that the author has drawn every character, environment, and panel to perfect scale. But the thing is, that's next to impossible. Most artists, including Kishimoto and Oda, are incapable of drawing every single character and feat to perfect narrative scale within their stories. You can check the entirety of One Piece and Naruto, and you will eventually find some random visual mistake or size inconsistency. This is even more apparent when you consider that an artist like Kishimoto, who loves to play with perspective shots, makes things seem bigger than they actually are. Pixel scaling is not even remotely consistent, which is why you might sometimes see many different size values for the exact same panel, which then leads us to the second half of the problem. If the product from a bunch of math is based on values that come entirely from an assumption, then no matter how correct the math is, the product itself is nothing more than an educated guess. So if most calc-based scaling is reliant on values derived entirely from assumptions, then no matter how consistent or conclusive the math behind the calc may be, it is still born from nothing more than an assumption, thus being nothing more than an assumption. Thus being nothing more than an assumption. The final and most damning reason is honestly the simplest. Unless you get objective evidence that the author 100% agrees with whatever product your calc-based scaling reaches, it is nothing more than headcanon. This is an argument that I genuinely cannot come up with a counter-argument for, because even when I used to throw random calcs in my earliest videos, that's because no matter the value a person gets, even if it has been double-checked by dozens of scalers and they all agree that the math is incorrect, is simply the simple objective truth of the matter is that the value is not objectively canon to the story. It genuinely doesn't matter to me if most people believe that calc-based metrics is the most accurate or consistent way to scale, because if the value presented comes from an assumption, then it is nothing more than an opinion with a bunch of extra math. The values are simply not canon, so I don't have to genuinely care if someone thinks that an attack is either more powerful or weaker than how it's presented within the series. I will instead simply choose to believe what the story tells me if it is consistent with the overall scaling and, most importantly, the narrative. Now, I want to be crystal clear that this isn't some kind of weird agenda against calcs. I don't personally care if you as a scaler use calcs. I simply don't agree with the metric. That's also not to say that if you enjoy using calcs, you're automatically wrong. This kind of metric does work for a couple of forms of media like video games and live action movies and series. They're usually grounded more in reality, and the values presented through pixel scaling are extremely consistent since it's always the same models. I think that different media benefit from different forms of scaling, and unfortunately, I simply don't agree with pixel scaling or calc-based logic for extremely fictional stories like Naruto and One Piece. You might disagree with me, I think that's okay, and I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't use pixel scaling for manga. I just simply won't agree with any value or scaling presented to me. Now, depending on the scaler, things like feats and statements will vary in significance because to some people, statements aren't always inherently tangible and don't really mean anything without a feat to back it up. However, the same concept could be argued for feats, since quantifying them without any proper statements or tangible inverse metrics can often lead to either higher or lowered interpretations depending on the metric one uses. That's where narrative comes in. The narrative is essentially the author's intent. Each author has a specific intention for their series and how powerful the characters can be, so it can be used to create these symbolic guards that prevent feats from being upscaled or downplayed to drastic extents. An easier way of thinking about it is if your statements are your vegetables and your feats are your protein, then the narrative is the bread that keeps it all from falling apart. Put it all together and you get a scaling sandwich of sorts. When it comes to my personal metric, I'm sure that a lot of people probably raised an eyebrow to the low end part of the title. I can assure you that the low end scaling does not inherently mean that I'm downplaying the characters. It simply means that I am giving the characters the bare minimum scaling that the story is implying through its statements, feats, and narrative. I'm sure that many people are going to disagree with me, but I personally believe that the most consistent way of scaling a character is to simply give them the bare minimum that the narrative as a whole is implying. This concept is different from downplaying because downplay would mean to scale a character to an inconsistent extent that is lower than what the story is implying. To downplay would mean to not even give the characters the bare minimum that they should be granted. So in this case, why use that bare minimum? Well, that's quite simple. It's easy to come to a conclusion that if a character is stated or shown to be capable of doing something, then it is the bare minimum or maximum that they should be given depending on the context and nuance of the story. By sticking to the bare minimum, an argument can be developed for the character that then offers as little interpretation on my end as possible. It's easy to upscale a character and say that they are more powerful than what the narrative is implying, especially if certain statements could be interpreted to imply a higher level of scaling even if it's inconsistent. That is why a lot of context and nuance needs to be given for each claim or interpretation, because otherwise you get things like the Naruto Universal or the One Piece Island level metas. I think it's important to note that this metric is not perfect and requires both a lot of nuance and comprehensiveness from the story one is reading in order to be used effectively. Since it's not reliant on the authors quantifying their series through canon statements, since it's so reliant on the authors quantifying the series through their canon statements and feats, it'll be more effective with series that offer more tangible evidence, and you'll probably see this throughout the video because One Piece definitely offers more quantifiable statements and feats. Even with that being said, it's also reliant on how well the scaler's reading comprehension is, because the ability to discern hyperbole from genuine statements isn't always the easiest. If an attack has no clear statement or feat to imply its power in a somewhat objective manner, then it's up to the scaler to make an assumption based on what they choose to believe. Hence me being consistent with my scaling from day one. In other words, this metric of scaling is also reliant on some level of interpretation from the viewer. So with all that being said, let's make one last thing extremely crystal clear. If your conclusion boils down to calcs or some other personalized metric, if your arguments boil down to some random, meaningless, unquantifiable stat like experience or battle IQ, if you haven't read both series and only know the scaling for Naruto or One Piece, If your arguments boil down to some random claim you heard from TikTok or YouTube, and most importantly, if your argument boils down to I like Naruto or Luffy more so they win, I think that's completely fine. I think those are all completely fine opinions to have. The entire video is also an opinion, so if anything, let's just agree to disagree. No reasons to be rude or toxic, but if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments, blah, 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 blah. I can't promise I'll reply, blah, 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 all that bullshit. There you go. What death of the author? What do you mean by death of the author? Let me look that up again. Argues that a text meaning is not determined by the author's intention or biography, but is created by the reader through the act of reading. I think that both of these series have, to an extent, a generalized narrative implication that the authors try to convey in order to develop their stories. I personally believe that using Nile, narratively implied low-end scaling, is using the author's own narrative to craft the entirety of the scaling and seeing what is consistent throughout the narrative as a whole. So it interacts with it by essentially saying, yo, the author wrote this shit equals arbitrary guessing based on assumptions. Narrative implications don't exactly equal arbitrary guessing based on assumptions. What assumption am I making based on this statement? What assumption am I making based on this statement? What assumption am I making based on this statement? Thank you for making scaling not fun anymore, guys, because I really hate people who think of themselves as prideful, right? A closed mind. What about me as being closed mind, bro? Explain to me what's being so closed-minded, because you right here are coming in here saying that I'm closed-minded, that everything I believe is this, this, and that. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If I were a person who were closed-minded, right? If I were a person that were being disingenuous, how is it disingenuous of me to believe that a character like Luffy, who can literally lift up a creature twice as large as Gamabunta, isn't in fact physically stronger than a child who stopped a large snake? Explain to me how that's disingenuous. Explain to me right now. Objectively speaking, how is that disingenuous? I'm interpreting the meaning based on what Oda's fucking writing. I'm interpreting the meaning based on what Kishimoto is writing. If Kishimoto fails to give me, random as fuck, but how am I going to explain Luffy versus Thrag? People ain't going to be happy with the result. What's the result? What do you think the result is? Because I can probably help you develop at least an argument for it, but like, you're gonna have to give me something. What arbitrary guess am I making based on this? What assumption? What arbitrary guess or what assumption am I making here? Buggy said that would have leveled a smaller town. What arbitrary guess am I going here? Because One Piece characters, they're very blatant with a lot of the things that they say. In general, obvious examples is Toriyama saying launch ain't real. What? Again, you notice how as soon as I ask these questions, they don't have, because I believe there is so much stuff that's being missed out. What am I missing out? You're saying that there are things that are being missed out on, but what exactly am I missing out on? I'm talking about the first 100 chapters. You're bringing up shit from other parts. I'm talking about the first 100 chapters right now. That's what a good person would look for. I'm looking, dude. So you're saying here via the books. What books? I literally read all 700 chapters of Naruto. What author's statements from the novels? The novels aren't even written by Kishimoto, my guy. The novels are not even written by Kishimoto himself. You're just mad because I'm saying that Luffy beats Naruto. So you have to go through the mental gymnastics of saying that where there's so much stuff that we're not using. I'm using the data books. But the data books are not objective. The data books do not state things that objectively follow follow what the story is following. You said before, Kurama can turn the world to ash. Okay, cool. So what are you interpreting from that? Are you interpreting that Kurama can blow up the planet in one hit? You're saying here that I'm not even remotely giving Naruto anything, that I'm not using anything, my guy, literally from page 4 down to page 23, I have literally only talked about Naruto's fucking scaling. From page 4 to page 23, I am talking about Naruto's fucking scaling. Implications require assumptions, as the definition of being implied is not directly stated. So if I have a different interpretation lens, I will come to different weak or strong implications. Cool, because it's objective, Dr. Strangle, because it's subjective. Power scaling is not objective. If you're going to sit here and tell me that this statement from Buggy is hyperbolic, explain to me why it's hyperbolic. Explain to me why this statement can't be taken seriously. But can you give me any objective reasoning? Any objective reasoning that says something like this is not objective? Because I'm not interpreting anything from it. I'm simply saying, breathtaking, that would have leveled a smaller town. A smaller town than this location. I don't know what the smaller town's supposed to be. I can't tell you how big the smaller town's supposed to be. All I know is that this guy right here just said this attack would have leveled a smaller town. If you think that he is being If you think that he is being hyperbolic, cool. You are more than welcome to believe that. Why should I believe it? Why should I believe it? What is the objective reason that I have to believe you over what he is saying? I can definitely bring up, hey, I can definitely talk about, okay, so what does this statement mean? Well, if you take Buggy by his word, it literally means that it would blow up a smaller town. Literally, like he said. If you go by assumptions, and you say, well, Buggy could be a hyperbolic, Buggy could be okay, sure, you are 100%, but that is an assumption. That right there is an assumption. How big the town is, that's an assumption. I'm just saying it would have blown up a town that would have covered this amount of range. That's all I'm arguing. Because last time I checked, let's look how big that cannon is, right? Well, the cannon is about as tall as Nami. I'm not going to tell you how big the cannon is, but consistently it is about as tall as the other Straw Hats. It's at least, it's shorter than a person. It's eyeballing, sure. But hey, look at the massive distance a person has to fucking walk. I don't know, man. Guggy hasn't always been known to be delusional fool. No, people around him are delusional. Who's always been the butt of the joke. Being the butt of the joke doesn't mean that statement can't be taken seriously. And delusional fool, the only people that are delusional around Buggy are his own men. Buggy's men are delusional. I don't know about Buggy himself being too delusional. It's so beyond me you're taking his word as absolute for no reason. Cool. So let's just say it's not. Zoro would still have tanked. Okay, let's take it as not an absolute, right? Let's take it as not an absolute. Let's say for a second, your interpretation's right? Let's say you are objectively right. We can take Buggy's statement as completely seriously, but replace it with level as X, as smaller town has no objective reference. It says smaller town. The author wrote smaller town. I'm just going to say it could blow away a smaller town. Buggy can tank an explosion. For me to say Buggy can tank an explosion that would have blown away a smaller town is not an objectively wrong statement. It is, if anything, correct. Buggy tanked an explosion that could level a smaller town. That is an objective statement. He tanked an explosion that could level a smaller town. There is no interpretation on my end. There is absolutely no interpretation on my end there. I am stating what is exactly happening in the page. Now, let's just say for a second, right? Let's just say, cool. Buggy's being hyperbolic, right? Cool, fantastic. Zoro tanked this explosion. It doesn't add up. Why does it not add up? Zoro tanked that explosion. Got a headache from it. At worst, got a headache. Tanked a fucking explosion that could blow away multiple houses. What objective reference would I need? I'm not saying that it's town level. I'm not using the term level in my video. Because an interpretive lens can be operating on incomplete information or bad faith. Buggy has always been known as someone who takes advantage of his delusional followers. He plays into their delusions about him and fails upwards. I love how Naruto scales will give Naruto every benefit of the doubt and will fight tooth and nail to deny anything in One Piece for any other scalers. I love it too, dude. I love how it's always has to be, well, bro, you know what? The thing that you said is not true because it doesn't add up. But a child punching through a giant snake, yeah. A child bruising a giant snake is objectively more impressive than a guy literally throwing a snake outside of an island's range. Again, what an objectively incorrect thing did I say when I said, for example, objectively, again, speaking, what is objectively wrong about me saying Luffy can pick up and toss around a creature twice the size of Gamabunta out of the range of an island? It is outside of the range of the island. It is outside of the island's borders. He picked it up. He threw it. It is that big. What is objectively wrong about that statement? How did you feel about the last chapter of One Piece? It was pretty good. Now that it's been a weekend, it's been a little bit long. I'm good. I'm finally happy with the fact that we're off that fucking time skip. Not time skip. That flashback. I'm so fucking happy we're out of that flashback, dude. I cannot stand it. I've never seen this amount of denial and hand waving in my life for a feat that Buckley clearly stated to be the case. Again, I could offer the interpretation, bro. You're wrong because he's obvious because he's not Naruto. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. Do you want him to say I can level a small town like the size of Clarksville, MD? Oh my fucking Christ! Yeah, amazing what happens when you have a series that gives you statements for their characters. Unlike Naruto, that doesn't have any statements, so a lot of it just has to be eyeballed. How big are these explosions? I'll bring it up again. How powerful do you think the attack potency of these explosions are? Because I could tell you mountain level. I could tell you they can blow up mountains. Tailed beast bombs can blow up mountains. That is exactly what I can tell you about a tailed beast bomb. They have the capacity to blow up mountains in a single blast. I can give you that 100,000%. I'm not going to tell you that these explosions are country level. I'm not going to tell you that these explosions are island level. I'm not going to tell you any of that bullshit because I don't have a reason to believe it. Is it stated that they can blow up islands? Nope, it's not stated they can blow up islands. Is it stated they can blow up countries? Nope, they cannot blow up countries. It says right here, the mountains, they blow up mountains, that's all they do. They are either continent or country. It's not definitive, but if we take a closer look, we'd find the answer. No, they're not. They're not even country level. Objectively speaking, not even country level. You cannot argue that. You objectively cannot argue that in the slightest bit, and I'm going to tell you why right now. I'm going to tell you why exactly now. Let's open this here. Let's open this here. This is a map of the 4th Great Shinobi War. This is a map of the Naruto, the continent. This is the entire continent. If you need me to prove why it's a continent, I will bring up a panel. But either way, this is an entire continent in and of itself. This is the location. This right here, the second smallest country in this entire map. The second smallest country in this entire map, or at least region. I'm going to call it a country for your sake, Thunderglam. I'm going to call it a country. This is the second largest country. This is where the final stretch of the 4th Great Shinobi War takes place. Look at that. Didn't even blow up the entire country. Is it a big country? Is it a small country? How big is the country? I can't tell you, but I can at the very least say it is powerful enough to leave a massive amount of destruction on one of the smallest countries on the planet. Or at least in a country. So you're not giving small town any interpretation, meaning you have no definition of what small town means. It means what it means. It's a smaller town. I'm saying smaller town. Now, which gives us, the audience, no implication or how impressive that should be. It's just powerful enough to blow away a smaller town. I am telling you what the series is telling me. I am telling you what the series is telling me. Whatever conclusion you draw upon that is not my prerogative. I do not give a shit what conclusion you draw upon. I am telling you what the series told me. Whatever conclusion you draw upon, I could not give two shits about. If you think that a character is stronger or weaker because of it, I don't care. That is your conclusion. It's not my conclusion. My conclusion is, it can wipe away a smaller town. That is it. Whatever you choose to come down to, whatever opinion you choose to come down to, that's your business. That is your opinion. I say it throughout the video a lot. A lot of power scaling boils down to what you personally choose to believe. If you cannot believe that it blows up a small town, that is your fucking business, not mine. I do not care. Okay, I can Uno reverse it. How strong was Whitebeard's tremors if you say they were planetary? That's not correct. You only broke Marineford. Incorrect, and I can tell you why. Incorrect, and I can objectively tell you why. For starters, you have an objective statement from one of the You have an objective statement from the one of the characters in the story that would quite literally know what Whitebeard is capable of. You would know that this guy right here, Sengoku, has been aware of Whitebeard's capacity since the old era. Over 30 years. He should know at the very least what Whitebeard is capable of. Statement from a character who knows what the character is capable of. Number two. You want to bring up why did he destroy Marineford? I don't know, because his fucking family is trying to rescue one of his sons. Why would he just destroy the entire fucking island? Now, could it be an old Whitebeard? Could it mean young Whitebeard? I don't know. I have no way I can tell you. If you believe it's young Whitebeard, that's one thing. If you believe it's old Whitebeard, that's another thing. That's completely fine. I don't personally care which of those you boil down to. Right here. There are no cracks around the hole. When enormous force is directed at one point, it doesn't cause extra damage. Just think of my kicks as bullets from a rifle, only a lot bigger. When enormous power is directed at one point, it doesn't cause extra damage. Oh, and then let's just go to the... Oh, yeah. Ooh. Ah. What were we going to bring up? Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Dressrosa. Oh, look at that. 500 chapters later. 500 chapters later. This continent is known as the Crystal Ice Sheet. Requires a monumental force directed at a single point. They can manipulate their area of effect. I have two statements, 500 chapters apart, that each imply they can manipulate their AoE. So, you're going to tell me now that they can't manipulate their area of effect? Did you already talk about the fodders? Yeah, it's 748. I'll bring that up. 748. I don't have all of 748. Yeah. Here is the hand of a giant. This is the hand of a giant whose hand is covering a massive city. The central city of Dressrosa. And look at them. They are just blasting through a massive hand. And the attack is reaching all the way up to the fucking shoulder. They're not even just blasting away the hand. They're blasting through the entire shoulder. So when someone destroys a continent, you can't tell... Use whether that is stronger or weaker than leveling a small town, because categorically refuse to interpret what small town means. I'm not categorically refusing to interpret it. He said a smaller town, so it would be a town that is smaller than the one that they're destroying. It would still fall under the guise of a town. You can't tell us use whether that is a stronger or weaker. I'm just telling you it's at least powerful enough to split a continent of ice that is tougher than metal. Whatever the fuck conclusion you draw from there, I am telling you, they are strong enough to split a continent of ice that is tougher than metal. So what do I use then? You know what chakra and control, like precisely pinpointing your chakra to one spot? Cool. Show me a jutsu that does that. Show me a jutsu that scales the chakra to the chakra. How do you quantify that in Naruto? Explain that to me. Quantify it in Naruto then. If a jutsu has all of the chakra concentrated at one point, show me one. Give me a page. Give me a chapter. Do something. Here's the problem, Thunderglam, and I'm just going to be honest with you. You come across to me as what I would like to call a casual scaler. You don't think about power scaling that deeply. You look at the thing, you look at it at a very surface level, and then you just don't come down to any kind of conclusion. You basically say, well, One Piece looks stupid, the scaling must be bad, the cow doesn't look big, I have nothing else to go off of. I'm going off of how big the cow is canonically. How far did Luffy send it? Far enough to go out to, again, leave the borders of the island. No continental feats in the 4th Great Ninja War. No continental statements in the 4th Great Ninja War. You're over this because, like all of the other casual scalers, you cannot give me an objective reason why I should have to believe those things. You can't tell us whether that is stronger. I can't tell you whether it's stronger or weaker. That would be an assumption. I'm just telling you what it is. Realistically, it would have to be more powerful than what he's technically destroying in order to manipulate the damage and only do with the thing that he's doing. But again, I can't give you an objective scale for it. That's why I said a lot of One Piece scaling comes from specific moments throughout the story and scaling whether or not a character is stronger or weaker. Buggy was being objective, not hyperbolic, as there is no indication of it being hyperbolic. What exactly? What is the indication that he's being hyperbolic? You say, like Michael said before, it's hyperbolic because Buggy is a clown, he blah 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 this, blah 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 that. Okay, but you haven't given me an objective moment that says that statement in particular is being hyperbolic. All else, sorry to say, is delusion. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I don't have to agree with you. That's my point. I don't have to objectively agree. I'm just giving you the information as I am looking at it as it is being presented to me and as how the narrative is presenting it to me. Don't tell them about Foxy. Yeah. People have an issue with me saying Foxy's beams are light speed because what's to say that the photons, when people say what's to say that the photons are also as fast as a normal particle, I can't tell you that. All I know is that it is a photon. Photons are massless particles. Photons are likely light speed. That's all I can go off of. That is all I can tell you. I have nothing else to go off of. It is a photon. A photon is a massless particle. That is it. I am not giving you an interpretation. I am not telling you what it is. I am telling you this is... There is nothing else I can give you. Whatever you do, whatever you choose to interpret from it, if you're going to go through the mental gymnastics of believing... Now I'm mad. You scale Foxy to light just to spite us? No, I don't do it to spite you. I do it because I have what other speed scaling do? Okay, let me ask you this. Before you go. Let me ask you this. I'm going to present to you 3 pages. You tell me what I'm supposed to believe. You tell me instead what I'm supposed to believe. All focus, compress, and concentrate chakra each has this to explain. Correct, right? Thank you, One Smart. Thank you. So you have given me a couple of jutsu that do that, but again, how high do the jutsu scale? What is the one-to-one example of destructive capacity versus attack potency? That's when the next argument comes in. But anyway, you tell me what to believe considering the following statements. Okay, starting here. Slow beam. The winner is blah blah blah, all that crap. We won at that moment. All this hyperbolic, this or delusional? I don't know, man. Light shot out from his hand. You can't be genuine, right? Yeah, I don't care. Fuck how he looks! Forget how he looks! You have no fucking problem. With Bugs Bunny soloing all of fucking fiction. Bugs Bunny. No one has an issue with this fucking rabbit soloing all of fiction, but as soon as it's One Piece, that's a problem? You could say Elmer Fudd solos Yuha Baha because of Toon Force, but the moment you bring up a One Piece character, it's all of a sudden a problem. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. As soon as it's a One Piece character, I don't give a fuck if he looks stupid. Yes, he looks absolutely ridiculous. I don't like Foxy either. But what does it say right here? Light shot out of his hands. An as yet undiscovered particle, whatever this light strikes, whether it's a living creature, liquid, or gas, will maintain all of its other properties but lose velocity. Slowpoke photons slow down everything they touch. I ate slow fruit, so now I can emit these photons from my body. Slow beam. Everything the light strike loses speeds. You sit there and fucking tell me what the fuck I'm supposed to believe when I have the characters calling it light multiple fucking times. Stop being delusional. Stop being fucking biased. And stop thinking that you're the only person here that isn't fucking delusional. God fucking damn it, dude. Jesus Christ. We're out here, This is some real bullshit, dude. It's like, it's always the same thing, bro. It's always the same thing. He doesn't look like that, bro. Look at how he looks. We're basing a character based on their power levels. Okay, cool. So you're telling me that Zeno... Dragon Ball. Okay, cool. So Zeno is a fucking weakling. Zeno is dog shit. Zeno's trash. Zeno is one of the weakest characters in fiction because he looks like a fucking child and talks like a kid. That's my point. Cool. Fantastic. Fantastic. So Zenos is a weakling. Zenos is a fucking weakling because, oh my god, he looks like a fucking... He looks like a child. He's a child. Who gives a shit? Who cares what the scaling is? Who cares what the statements are? Who cares what he can do? He looks like a child. There we go. There we go. Cool. Fantastic. I'm glad we got that off. Okay, so Zenos is trash. Yukabaka is absolutely dog shit. I think he looks weak. Honestly, Yukabaka, look at these eyes. They look gross. I don't think he could even fucking destroy a building. I don't even think Yukabaka could destroy a building. Look at him. He's just a guy. He's just a guy. This guy right here, look at him. He looks like he has herpes in his eyes. I think he looks gross. He must be really fucking weak. Oh, look. He got killed by a normal sword slash. Wow. Wow. So interesting. So interesting. Wow, man. Yeah, these guys are trash. This guy looks super fucking weak. Clearly doesn't have any actual scaling. He just looks like a fucking weirdo with a big mustache. A weirdo anime Nazi who simply has weird eyes. Cool. He looks better. That's it. Like, okay, cool. So we are just basing everything off of how the character looks. Not a black blade. Yes, not a black blade. Mihawk upscales, honestly. I guess cool. Fantastic. Let's see. What's another? Madara? Madara? I don't know, man. Madara looks like a bit of a bitch to me. He looks like a bit of a bitch to me. I'm sorry. Wow. Honestly, this guy right here, why would anyone be afraid of him? He just has a bunch of cracks on his face already. Must be weak as fuck. Must be weak as fuck. Must be absolutely dog shit, because, I mean, look, his body's already tearing to pieces. His body's already coming apart. Honestly, he looks like he could be broken down with a fucking sledgehammer, dude. Oh, yeah, Majin Buu. Majin Buu. Let's look at Majin Buu real quick. Majin Buu. Oh, look, he's a fat fuck. Who could have ever thought that a fat fuck like this could ever even remotely be powerful? I mean, you're really sitting here going to tell me that this guy's more powerful than Frieza, who can wipe out a planet with a finger? Wow. Wow, bro. Oh, man, I guess this guy's dog shit. You know what? I think Naruto looks so much cooler than Majin Buu. Honestly, I would say Naruto could one-shot Majin Buu with a couple of punches and a kunai. What is he going to do? Look at this fat fuck. He's unathletic as fuck. Oh, look at this. He's a kid. Look, he's literally a kid. Literally in his name, Kid Buu. This is a child. I could beat him up. I, as a normal human being, could quite literally beat the fuck out of him. Absolutely. Dog shit. Dog shit weak. Why would I? Like, oh, he has a little tentacle on his face. I will literally grab that tentacle on his face and use him as a fucking paddle ball. He looks so fucking weak, dude. He glazes him more than a Krispy Kreme. That scream blew my earphones out. Haven't heard a crash up like that since the Bleach stream. Yeah, can we say his emo looking at? Yeah, we can say his emo looking at, yeah. Frieza looks way uglier than Buu? Probably. People are look scaling. Yeah, we're look scaling because apparently it doesn't matter what's stated in a story. All that matters is, oh, do they look cool or do they not look cool? Do they look cool? Yeah, crazy. Crazy. What's the guy from Dragon Ball? What's that Dragon Ball series? What's that new Dragon Ball series? Daima. Oh yeah, this guy right here, he's a fucking clown. How powerful is he? I don't care. He's a clown. This guy's got big ugly lips. He's got a stupid looking fucking hat. He's dressed like one of the Space Patrol guys from Universe 11 or whatever the fuck. Yeah, he looks like a complete loser. If they don't look cool, they're weak. Yep, 100%. If they don't look cool, they're weak. Saitama? Look at how stupid Saitama looks. Look at how fucking stupid this bald-headed fuck looks. I guess he's just a wimp, bro. I could fuck him up. I will slap the dog shit out of this guy's head, and I will leave an imprint of my hand on the back of his fucking head by your logic. Do they have bullet dodging vibes? They don't have bullet dodging vibes, One Smart. They don't at all, bro. What, you telling me a guy wearing this stupid ass suit? You're telling me a guy who literally walks around in a fucking cape has bullet dodging vibes? Come on now, bro. Come on now, bro. Like, come on. Oh, this guy's supposed to be strong? Fantastic. Cool. I guess anime characters just are just based on how strong they look. It's all vibes, guys. It's all vibes. Nothing else matters. It's all just vibes. Bro can't even tag a mosquito. Exactly. Bro is so dog shit weak he can't even tag a mosquito. I killed over 20 mosquitoes in a single day during my last vacation. I guess I scale over 20 times greater than Saitama because of it. Yeah. Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck, right? Scaling doesn't matter. None of it matters. I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's be honest here. Scaling doesn't actually matter. It's all just fucking stupid opinions that we give each other based on how we choose to go off of vibes in a fucking series. But the point is, if we're not even going to be able to have an actual conversation about this, then what's the point of even scaling? Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm happy. I hope you guys got something out of that crash out. Yeah. Hope you guys got something out of that. It's 6:42. I have to go have lunch. I will catch you guys all later. Boys, I haven't talked about Sai. Another fodder can create a crater longer than Pika's entire body with his last attack. 771. Let's check that one out. 771. Let's check that one out. 771. Oh yeah. Yeah, literally. Literally. Didn't even see this. Didn't even see this. Crazy. Take care of yourself, big dog. I appreciate that. Nah, we're good. Where's the guy that looked scaled? I don't know. He just left. He just he left. What else could you fucking say when you sound so biased and disingenuous? Why even stay at that point, right? Why even stale at that point, dude? I don't get it, dude. I really don't. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. What the fuck? What's this? Shunpei, a high school loner, became a Gyaru. Oh yeah, we read this at one point. Yeah, we read that at one point. Yeah. Anyway, this looks crazy. Delinquent Gotcha. Jikai Hai is a low academic protagonist. Is terrible fighting and spends his days being looked down by everything changing with the strongest of them all. Goku Hitomi transfers in. Alright, I don't care. Anyway, that's probably it for me. I think I'm done for the day. That's because his particles are different, not because he's butt ugly. We are not the same. I mean, how can you make the claim without any evidence? That's my thing. It's like, how do you come down to that conclusion without any objective evidence? Because if your argument if your argument just is, well, the photons might not be the same, that's not an argument. You're basing it off of your own personal opinion. You have no argument then. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. Don't bother typing. I'm going to close up the stream. Yeah, Vegeta's a wall level man because he's a manlet. Yeah, I agree. Vegeta would get fucked up by anyone taller than 5'5". I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.